Hello and welcome to the July 13th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on our YouTube page. That's right, the YouTube page. It's a fantastic page. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. So, hello everybody. Hello Rebecca. Hello Nico. Hello Producer Donna. And everyone else that might be lurking right now, but lurking is absolutely fine. I am so happy for any and every interaction with our content. We are trying to spread the good news. We will start off tonight with our news brew, which is another Producer Donna special. There are so many more to go through, and every single one of them thus far has been a banger, so I hope you enjoy them as much as I am. Tonight, we are going to give nuts a chance with Pecan Pie Porter. This is from Double Trouble Brewing Company, and I'll let the camera zoom in on that wonderful logo. There we go. This is a 5.7% ABV porter. Porters tend to be a little lighter than stouts, but are nonetheless darker beers. Ooh, the camera zoom. That was an interesting way for it to refocus. So yeah, thank you very much, Producer Donna, for this special. Let's crack this open and blow the gain on the audio. Good crack. Our glass tonight is going to be this very cool Share a Pint glass. Porters are great in pint glasses, and if you do give blood or plasma, I highly respect you. If you don't, that's fine, but if you do, mad respect. Let's get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. I know it's sacrilege, but I tend to do a center pour to get all the gas out of this beer. And sometimes there's a lot. I mean, this ain't a nitro beer, but that is leveling like one. Is this a nitro beer? This can't be. I didn't hear a clicker inside it. Oh, it's smooth. Oh, just that tiny little taste I took. Wow. Massive head on it. It is going to take its sweet-ass time to settle. So we are going to set that aside and let it do its thing. And I will come back to it in a little bit. Or you'll just see me reaching over to glug that sucker into the glass more. Shoutouts! Family Craft Farm is a cut flower, microgreens, and produce farm that's located in Ravenna, Michigan. On the farm, they're all about cultivating a sustainable lifestyle, and they're proud to share their growing family and community. They believe in providing high-quality, clean, unique products. Wow, I haven't had to do this ad in a while. I apologize. Well, not ad. This shout-out. Let me start that over. They believe in providing high-quality, clean, unique products designed with sustainability and quality, and only partner with companies who put the earth and people's health first for their products. Links for them, Family Craft Farm, are in the description. And to them, hey, Christian. Cheers. Still a lot of head to cut through. Wow. That is a sugary, sweet pecan pie in a glass with a little bit of that dark coffee porter taste. Holy crap. Christian with the dad joke. Guess you could say you need to make some headway. Good one, Christian. Second shout out. So, a few months ago, we told you all about Doug Ruch and Dying to Serve. Doug only has 19 states left to go in his quest to volunteer in all 50 states in the United States before he succumbs to prostate cancer. His GoFundMe has raised $135,452 of his $200,000 goal, and that's as of the recording of this episode. $135,452 raised for the different places he's going and to fund his trip, because traveling around the country and doing that kind of stuff isn't cheap. So if you want to look up Dying to Serve, or you want to make a donation to the GoFundMe, we have those links in the description. To Doug Ruch, cheers. Oh my gosh, this is a good one, Donna. Producer Donna only brought me hits, and this is one of them. Producer Donna also saying Doug Ruch was in North Carolina on Friday. Very cool. Lastly, have you ever said you're not going to do a thing and then you do the thing? That's about how I feel with regards to TikTok. Well, if you haven't checked it out yet, Nick's News does indeed have a TikTok. Link is in the description. You will find us posting shorts, news nibbles, and more Hopecore content there. So check it out. We are continuing to grow the Nick's News brand, just, Some Budget Studios, growing out our influence to get more good news out into the world. So to all of you that have joined us on TikTok, thank you very much, and cheers. Nico says, Doug Ruch is very active with his updates and gets frequent emails. That's awesome. All right, news quote. The desire to reach for the stars is ambitious. The desire to reach hearts is wise. That quote comes from Marguerite Annie Johnson, better known as Maya Angelou, who was an American memoirist, poet, and civil rights activist. And I love that quote. And here on Nick's News, we're always going to tell you to reach for the stars. You'll, reach for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars, etc. Aspire to do what you want to do. But that quote is really good, especially for the folks around you. The desire to reach for the stars is ambitious. The desire to reach hearts is wise. So to Maya Angelou. Cheers. Bug update. Ever since she woke up, Elmira has been a busy bug. She has been digging a new burrow that is actually on the closer side of the tank to me. So her normal burrow is at the back end of the tank. Her new burrow is right up against the front now, and it's this tank right here, actually. It's not this one. This one is Sue. I'll try to get some better pictures. She didn't fill her water dish with dirt like she did last time, but it's evident that she's been tracking dirt through it. So she is busy, and for a nocturnal bug, she's very fine with bright light. I caught her on several occasions out and about while the lights have been on, so I will try to get some better pictures of her. It definitely looks like she might have molted. Her claws appear much larger than last time, as do a couple of proportions of her body. She's still getting bulked up, still feeding her regularly, so we'll see what she's like in a couple weeks here and do some comparisons with some of the photos I took before when I got her. Sue hasn't wanted to do anything with me at all. He just is ignoring me and just hiding in his burrow. That's absolutely fine. He's still a little chonky. I'll just wait him out. And Ripley is happily scuttling around her enclosure and is probably looking forward to her new one, which we will be setting up later this month. Keep an eye out on our posts for that special episode. With that, we are going to get into our good news. Our good news is broken up into 4 major categories. Those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice touchy-feely articles we like to end on. So we are going to start off in category 1, science and technology, and we call this first one the pint-sized powerhouse. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I keep looking back. I need to figure out how to get this camera adjusted to maybe include Elmira's tank, because she has been very active and she is really cool to see moving about. And I keep hearing her maybe tapping in the back of the tank, so I'll try to focus on the article though. The U.S. is testing tiny nuclear reactors that can go practically anywhere. This was posted to Gizmodo and it was published on July 12th of 2025 by Guyong Lee. Bug cam. Producer Donna says we need to set up the bug cam. I do have that spare Onkyo webcam lying around. I could set up... Oh, she is out. I just saw her. She has these two crazy antenniform legs that she just waggles around because she's practically blind. And she just touches things to figure out where to go. So, like, when I look back, you'll see her, like, waving them around, and it is freaky. I'll get a better picture of her. And maybe I will set up the secondary camera as the bug cam. All right. In contrast to other technological advances, the objective for next-generation nuclear reactors seems to be to scale down, not up. An initiative backed by the Department of Energy, or the DOE. Earlier this month, the DOE announced a conditional agreement made with private firms Westinghouse and Radiant to conduct the first reactor tests at its Demonstration on Microreactor Experiment, or the DOME facility located at Idaho National Laboratory. These experiments, featuring 2 trailer-sized microreactors, will be the first of their kind in the world, and will assist in meeting the nation's demand for more abundant, affordable, and reliable power, the DOE stated in a press release. The microreactors eVinci from Westinghouse and Kaleidos from Radiant each produce only 5 megawatts and 1.2 megawatts of power, respectively. The DOE defines microreactors as small reactors that can generate between 1 and 50 megawatts of power. This is only a fraction of what normal-sized nuclear reactors are putting out, but it could serve an important purpose. It's tiny compared to the traditional reactors, which are capable of generating 833 times the power of Kaleidos. But that being said, the microreactors aren't meant to power crowded cities, like the big one we just mentioned. Rather, the compact efficiency of microreactors could greatly benefit small, remote sites that run on less efficient sources, like coal or natural gas or who knows what. The average U.S. household consumes about 30 kilowatt hours or 0.03 megawatts worth of electricity daily, meaning in theory the Kaleidos, which is kicking out 1.2 megawatts of power a day, could supply many homes in a distant rural area. Not only that, these microreactors are relatively easy to assemble and transportable by train, truck, or even plane. That makes them potentially useful in unexpected situations, such as blackouts caused by natural disasters or cyber attacks. For eVinci and Kaleidos in particular, the DOE's intention is to employ the microreactors as a possible power source for remote data centers and an alternative to diesel generators, respectively. Microreactors will play a big role in expanding the use of nuclear power in the United States, added Mike Goff, the Acting Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy, in the same release. He added, "These DOME experiments will test new reactor designs that will be counted on in the future to reliably power our homes, military bases, and mission-critical infrastructure." The first fueled experiments at DOME are slated to begin as early as spring of 2026, next year, operating for up to 6 months to test technological ability and efficiency. Hi, Charlie. That is really cool. To everybody involved at Westinghouse and Radiant producing microreactors that could be great for rural areas as well as other infrastructure. Cheers. I noticed producer Donna in the chat mentioned Elmira does not like earthworms. So I was looking up the list of foods that I think it's Massigoprocta giganteus. I am going to blank on her scientific name. So giant vinegaroons eat a lot of different bugs and insects and arthropods and worms. So I picked up some night crawlers because I thought, oh yeah, I feed her superworms and crickets and other very, energy-dense insects. I'll try to give her a whole worm to help her bulk back up. Well, I drop it in and she goes and she touches it like she does all her food, because that's how she finds her food, is she touches it, realizes it's food, and then she goes in for a hug, and she like recoiled, like her arms went up and she backed away and got away from the worm. So she hates worms, apparently. So I now have 2 night crawlers living in her tank with her, but that's fine because they help turn her soil over. She's probably going to demolish the spider plant in there. She's already started ripping its roots up, so. Hey, Mike. Charlie says, Dad, I don't like the live spaghetti. Oh, I keep like just barely looking, and I keep catching her. I think she's going down into that new burrow she made. She really is fascinating to watch. I should get the bug cam set up. I think that would be really cool if, like, up here in the corner, instead of having to look at the tanks, or maybe up on this side. Well, I really like the coffee plant here. We could figure out how we do it, but setting up a bug cam would actually be pretty cool. So maybe we'll look into that soon. All right, let's go to our second article. We called this one, oh no, sorry, we don't have any more science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. And funny enough, usually these articles find their way into other locations of our broadcast, but tonight in health and medicine, we have an obligatory cat article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Producer Donna and I were talking about it and realized we hadn't had an obligatory cat article in a while. But this is absolutely wild, so we're going to go with it. Pet cat helps discover a new virus. This was posted to Popular Science. It was published July 11th of 2025 by Laura Basis. Hey, Becky. Cat article. Someone poked Julie. It's a black cat, too, so Julie would be super excited for this article. Pepper the cat is at it again. That implies that this has happened before. After his hunting skills helped virologists identify the first J-long virus in the United States, the virus-hunting feline has detected a new strain of orthoriovirus. Oh, Nico's got 2 black cats. That's cool. It helps that Pepper's owner is John Lednicki, a virologist at the University of Florida College of Public Health. Pepper caught an Everglades short-tailed shrew, and Lednicki took the small mole-like mammal, into the lab for testing. Lednicki's research includes studying the mule deer pox virus, so he wanted to look at the shrew specimen for any clue to how this virus is transmitted among mammals. It turns out that the shrew had a strain of orthoriovirus. The viruses in this genus infect several mammal species, including white-tailed deer, bats, and humans. Their effect on humans are not very well understood, but there are rare reports that orthorioviruses may be associated with cases of encephalitis, meningitis, and gastroenteritis in children. The bottom line is we need to pay attention to orthorioviruses and know how to rapidly detect them, Lednicki said in a statement. There are many different mammalian orthorioviruses, and not enough is known about this recently identified virus to be concerned, study co-author and UF PhD candidate Emily de Ruyter added. Mammalian orthorioviruses were originally considered to be orphan viruses, present in mammals including humans but not associated with diseases. More recently, they have been implicated in respiratory, central nervous system, and gastrointestinal diseases. Hey, Mona. Mona's got 3 black cats. The complete genomic coding sequence for this new virus, officially named Gainesville Shrew Mammalian Orthoriovirus Type 3 Strain UF1, was recently published in the journal Microbiology Resource Announcements. Importantly, Pepper has shown no signs of illness, according to Lednicki. This was an opportunistic study, Lednicki said. If you come across a dead animal, why not test it instead of just burying it? There is a lot of information that can be gained. In 2024, Pepper helped detect the first Zheilong virus in the US. He dropped a dead mouse on the carpet at Lednicky's feet, which was also taken into the lab for testing. Zheilong virus was previously found in Asia, Africa, South America, and Europe. Unlike authorioviruses, it is known to infect more than just mammals and can make reptiles, fish, and birds sick. It can also occasionally cause serious illness in humans. The virus in the mouse that Pepper found was genetically different from other Zheilong viruses and is designated as Gainesville rodent Zheilong virus 1. According to Lednicky, it grows equally well in rodent, human, and non-human primate cells, making it a great candidate for a spillover event, or when one virus spills from one species into another. The team also recently found 2 novel viruses in farmed white-tailed deer. Since viruses are constantly evolving and lab techniques have gotten more sophisticated, Lednicky said finding new viruses isn't entirely surprising. I'm not the first one to say this, but essentially, if you look, you'll find, and that's why we keep finding all these new viruses, Lednicky said. 2 different types of orthoriovirus can infect a host cell, similar to influenza. This 2-pronged infection essentially creates a new virus by mixing and matching the genes, according to Lednicky. In 2019, the same team isolated the first orthoriovirus found in a deer. That first strain's genes were nearly identical to an orthoriovirus detected in farmed mink in China and a very sick lion in Japan. Scientists were incredibly puzzled how the same hybrid virus could pop up in farmed deer in Florida and 2 carnivore species thousands of miles away. Some speculated that components of the animal's feed may have come from the same manufacturer. More research is needed to fully understand how orthorioviruses move around and are transmitted, their prevalence in humans, and how sick they could make people. Future serology and immunology studies could help the team better understand the threat of orthorioviruses, including the one a black cat helped scientists find. To pepper the cat for bringing random dead animals to its virologist owner, who then went on to find out that there were new viruses to find in these animals. Cheers. Call this next one Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. I was singing that song earlier when we named this article. I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along, and now that song is hopefully stuck in your brains. U.S. surgeons complete first ever heart transplant using robotics. This was posted to TechSpot. It was published on June 28th of 2025 by Sky Jacobs. Joseph says, I am evil. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Gonna stop before the copyright. What just happened? Surgeons at Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center in Houston have performed the nation's first fully robotic heart transplant, a milestone in American medicine. Completed in March, the procedure marks a significant leap in robotic cardiac surgery and offers new hope for patients with advanced heart failure. The patient, a 45-year-old man hospitalized for months with severe heart failure, became the first in the United States to receive a heart transplant using a minimally invasive robot-assisted technique. Unlike traditional transplants that require splitting the breastbone to open the chest, this procedure uses a sophisticated surgical robot to make a series of small, precise incisions. Through these openings, the team removed the failing heart and implanted the donor organ while preserving the patient's chest wall. That is wild. Now, a few years back, I had to undergo a surgery that radically changed my quality of life and really improved basically everything for me. And my surgery also involved the use of a robot of a similar nature. Not as crazy as this, and it definitely wasn't heart surgery, but it did mean I had a very quick recovery time, and I only have 3 little scars across my abdomen to show that I ever even had surgery in the first place. So hearing that a robot like this got to be involved in a major surgery like a heart transplant is wild and just shows you the lengths that we're going with new medical technology. Back to the article. Dr. Kenneth Lau, the lead surgeon and a pioneer in robotic cardiac procedures, explained the benefits of avoiding a large chest incision. By minimizing surgical trauma, the robotic approach speeds wound healing and recovery, which is essentially important for patients on immunosuppressants, such as transplant patients. It also lowers the risk of infection and helps patients regain mobility and respiratory function more quickly. Nico said, laparoscopic surgery is awesome. Yes, it is. The breakthrough stems from the robotic system's precision and flexibility. Controlled from a console, its articulated arms move in ways human hands cannot, enabling delicate dissection and suturing in tight spaces. During the transplant, surgeons access the heart through the preperitoneal space, avoiding the need to cut through bone. The approach reduced pain, blood loss, and the need for transfusions, an essential benefit for transplant patients who must carefully manage their immune response. For the patient, the results were dramatic. He spent about a month recovering in the hospital before his doctors discharged him without complications. Hospital leaders and medical staff hailed the operation as a milestone that could transform heart transplantation. Experts say wider adoption of robotic systems could offer more patients less invasive surgeries, faster recoveries, and fewer complications. Dr. Todd Rosengart, chair of Baylor's Michael E. DeBakey Department of Surgery, called the procedure a giant step forward in making even the most challenging surgeries safer. That is awesome. To the patient and to everybody at Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center in Houston that performed this operation, and to the robot, domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Cheers. Mona said, that was my gallbladder surgery. Recovery was quick and pretty painless. Very cool. Nico said, it's nice only having tiny little incision sites. I had a little bit of a rough time with carbon dioxide leaving my... I did too. I felt very bloated after... When they do laparoscopic surgery, they've got to fill you up with gas, so there's a little more space for the robot to work. And so your body has to work that gas through. And I felt like a balloon for a few hours after I woke up. Mona says that is absolutely amazing. Nico says good robot. And Becky says good team. That is really cool. Okay, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And we called this first one Some Assembly Required. We also wanted to call it Acme versus Boston Dynamics. And when you see these abominations, you'll understand. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. These things look so goofy. This is as Producer Donna is saying, this is a Wile E. Coyote bird chasing kit. U.S. Army deploys plastic coyotes attached to mini four-wheelers. This was posted to Popular Science. It was published on July 10th of 2025 by Mac DeGurin. Mike says, what am I looking at? Sometimes high-tech solutions aren't the best way to solve a problem. The U.S. Army apparently came to that realization recently while exploring new methods to deter birds and other problematic wildlife from air bases. The military initially considered using Boston Dynamics' dog-like Spot robot, which, if you look up Boston Dynamics, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see Spot in action. And I'm just going to say, that thing is amazing. That is a crazy step forward in robotics. We're talking about the medical robot. Boston Dynamics makes incredible robots. So the military was planning to use Spot to scare off intruders, but they quickly realized it wasn't fast enough to effectively shoo critters away. Nico says, that's hilarious for some reason. Becky is laughing. Mike, imagine the actual animals see it and start trying to ride the cars. Nico, like straight from the Acme catalog. Let's get back to the article. A far more effective and affordable solution presented itself in the form of 3 life-sized plastic coyote decoys mounted on top of toy-sized autonomous vehicles. These cyborg watchdogs, set to make their debut at naval air bases sometime in the near future, have a fitting name: Coyote Rovers. It all comes down to the scare tactics. The U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center, or the ERDC, wrote in a LinkedIn post earlier this year. ERDC posted a photo of the rovers on a lawn with the Navy's Blue Angel fighter jets in the background. It all comes down to scare tactics. I'm gonna have to look for that post. Small birds can cause big problems. Something to note. Damage from wildlife is a major concern for the military. In 2014, 4 Air Force servicemen were killed after a flock of Canadian geese, of course it was snake-necked birds, reportedly flew through their helicopter's windshield, knocking the pilot and the co-pilot unconscious. Another bird then hit the helicopter's nose and disabled its stabilization system, ultimately sending it crashing down. That wasn't a one-off incident either. In just the 10-year period between 2007 and 2016, the U.S. Air Force reported 45,440 wildlife strikes that collectively led to $251 million worth of damage. Geese 4, Air Force 0. The Air Force has even dedicated an entire team called the Bird Wildlife Aircraft Strike Hazard, or BASH, tasked with mitigating these disturbances. That team has previously used hawks to ward off seagulls and helped design a radar system that reports potential bird strikes intensity levels. Members of BASH have been working with research wildlife biologists for the past 5 years on the Coyote Rover project. This has been a 5-year project to make this nightmare. Some air bases, according to the Army Times report, had previously used real dogs to ward off wildlife, but found that they could be unpredictable. The team's early tests using the Spot robot failed because the high-tech robot couldn't charge the pesky wildlife at fast enough speeds. Birds and other wildlife simply weren't scared when Spot approached them. In some cases, the animals still wouldn't move even after the quadruped bumped into them. What we found out quickly was, because it had such a slow approach speed, that it did more of just pushing animals out of the way once it finally got close enough to them than it did really scaring them off, ERDC research wildlife biologist Jacob Jung told the Army Times. Christian says, good thing that coyote robots can't self-replicate. We'd need to get a different thing in to deal with them if we did. Yes. The horrible idea of getting a different thing to solve a problem that we caused. Just see cane toads. The Coyote Rover is comparatively low-tech. The rovers themselves are 4-wheeled unmanned vehicles manufactured by Traxxas X-Max, a company better known for producing radio-controlled cars. The coyote decoys attached to them were reportedly sourced from a forestry supplier. Though simple in appearance, the rover can reach speeds of up to 20 miles an hour. These little things can haul. That pace, combined with a silly-looking coyote doll, is apparently realistic enough to spook nearby animals. In total, the Coyote Rover units reportedly cost between $2,500 and $3,000. A single Spot robot, by contrast, reportedly costs $74,500. $74,500, $2,500 to $3,000. We're gonna Acme the hell out of this. Though still technically prototypes, ERDC says it has already successfully demonstrated the rover's capabilities in demonstrations held at Naval Air Stations Whiting Field and Pensacola in Florida and Fort Campbell in Kentucky. Researchers are also looking to improve future iterations of the Coyote bots by adding in machine learning capabilities that should allow them to autonomously navigate to and from their charging stations. ERDC also sees potential roles for the Coyotes beyond airfields. Shay Hammond, a research biologist focused on robotic characterization of battlefield and operational environments for ERDC, told the Army Times she believes the rovers could one day be used to remotely identify species of birds and other wildlife in deployed areas. They could even be deployed at locks and dams across the country that are maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. For now, though, the Coyote Rover unit is limited to scarecrow duty. To everybody at the ERDC that found a much less expensive solution to harassing wildlife away from naval Air Force bases and Air Force bases in general with these god-awful machines, cheers. Producer Donna loves this story. Those things are nightmare-inducing. Alright. We called this next article, I Like Turtles. That's it. I like turtles. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. We've got more work to do. Toronto Zoo releases over 50 endangered turtles into the wild to combat extinction. This was posted to nowtoronto.com. It was published 3 days ago. So that would have been back on July 10th, 2025, by Beatriz Ferreira. It's almost my last name. Mike says, no, we need a Canadian geese version that honks angrily at things. That could be another one. The Toronto Zoo has released 52 Blandings turtles into the Rogue National Urban Park as part of a program that aims to conserve endangered species in the Greater Toronto Area. That's actually really interesting. We have Blandings turtles here in Michigan. I've actually seen one. On Thursday, the zoo announced it had released the turtles over the week, reaching a total of 800 turtles being released into the park over the last 12 years. The initiative is part of the Blandings Turtle Head Starting and Reintroduction Program, led by Toronto Zoo's Adopt a Pond Wetland Conservation Program, along with Parks Canada, to help Ontario species that are under threat of extinction or habitat loss to recover and survive, according to a statement. We've done the research, we've done the homework, we've developed the systems and protocols to now have released over 800 individuals in the Rogue. And you know, we've got more work to do, but really excited about the prospect of reestablishing this population so it's thriving here in Toronto. Toronto Zoo CEO Dolph DeJong told Now Toronto. Producer Donna says, Turtle Power! 41 of the 52 released turtles have also been made available for adoption and naming under the zoo's Wildlife Conservancy's Adopt an Animal program. When adopting an animal under the program, rather than taking them home, adopters can name their chosen animal and make a donation from $50 to $250 to the zoo and receive adorable gifts of appreciation that vary depending on the donation level. Donations are used for purchasing equipment for the program and supporting efforts to protect endangered species. Adopters get to name that individual who's going to live potentially up to 80 or 100 years, and then they are released and they receive a certificate of adoption. So folks who make that donation, take that step, have actually helped us reestablish this wild population of the Rogue, and it's an incredible gesture, DeJong added. Becky says, you can adopt the turtles, sweet. This year, 2 turtles have been named after 2 Canadian athletes, including Olympic swimming champion Summer McIntosh and NBA's 2024-2025 Most Valuable Player Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Blanding's turtles are medium-sized animals that can reach 27 centimeters long. Oh! Uh-oh. I just closed everything. Hold on. We still here, folks? Looks like we're still here. I hit a button. Oh, I'm so lucky I didn't hit that button. Wow. I fat-fingered that. Hey, Fry. We still good? Are we still live? We're still here. Okay. Holy crap. I hit a button. I had a moment there. So for those of us that operate in Freedom Units, 27 centimeters is 10.6299 inches. Where was I? There we are. Thank you, Producer Donna. All right, thank you, everybody, for confirming we are still live. They typically have a black to brown shell with yellow flecks and streaks, and bright yellow throats and chins. Blandings usually have wider, flatter shells than other turtles in the region, resembling army helmets. These turtles have long lived in the Rogue River watershed area, which has suffered drastic changes over the last 200 years. Due to changes in their environment, they have been declared federally endangered species, with less than 10 adult turtles being found in the area, known as the Rogue National Urban Park, since the 1990s. The program works to eventually restore a regular turtle population in the habitat without needing the zoo's interference. The zoo says it will likely take a minimum of another 8 years to get to that point, with this year marking its 12th anniversary. To protect the species, the Blandings Turtle Head Starting and Reintroduction Program collects eggs from the Ontario turtle populations every June and incubates them for 2 months to keep them safe from predators. After being born, the tiny turtles spend a year at the America's Pavilion, where guests can visit them. That's adorable. The turtles are then moved to the Wildlife Health and Science Center after their first birthday to swim and catch some UV light. Upon reaching 2 years old, the turtles move to outdoor spaces where they can get used to sounds, weather changes, sights, preparing for their release back into the wild. After that, they are released into different locations, which are kept secret to reduce the risks of poaching. With the goal of obtaining information about the species' survival, growth rates, and other environmental factors, scientists also attach small radio transmitters into some of the turtles' shells. By monitoring them, scientists are able to help land managers restore the environment so the aquatic animals can better survive. That is really cool. To everybody involved with the Toronto Zoo in releasing Blandings turtles into the Rogue National Urban Park as part of an amazing conservation program for this endangered species, and to the 800 turtles they've released so far, cheers. Mike says, this is why the little glass cases were built to put over danger buttons. That's right. Okay, that is going to get us out of Flora and Fauna. We are going to move on to Category 4, Wholesome Notes. Hope you're ready for these, folks. We are going to start off the Wholesome Notes with a heckin' good boy. We had our obligatory cat article, so of course, we need to have a heckin' good boy. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Philadelphia Phillies' new service dog is instant celebrity and will support a veteran after training camp. This was posted to goodnewsnetwork.org, and it was published on July 13th, today, of 2025, by Nathan Frederick. The Philadelphia Phillies just expanded their roster, adding a four-legged friend that's arguably the cutest teammate in franchise history. Last week, the baseball franchise formally announced their sponsorship of Tugger, a 10-week-old pup that will soon begin his training to become an accredited service dog destined to support a disabled veteran. The Yellow Labrador's name is a nod to Phillies legend and fan favorite Tug McGraw, who served in the Marine Corps before becoming a Major League relief pitcher and a 1980 World Series champion with the Phillies. He was also the father of country music superstar Tim McGraw, who cheered Tugger's entrance to the majors in a team press release, saying, "You gotta believe young Tugger's going to be a hero." My father loved the Phillies and took immense pride in his service with the U.S. Marine Corps. The thought that this little pup will one day contribute to enhancing the quality of life for a veteran is truly remarkable. I am certain my father would have felt deeply honored to have Tugger named in his memory. There is a video you can watch from their Instagram of Tugger. He is adorable. 2 nonprofit organizations will help prepare the retriever over the next 2 years. The Warrior Canine Connection will train the service dog, and Team Foster, a Philadelphia-based charity that has helped connect over 500 veterans with service dogs, will find Tugger's next owner. Tugger is the second service pup sponsored by the Phillies. The first one, Major, was just recently placed in a forever home, bringing some much-needed assistance to a local veteran. Earlier this week, the pup was introduced to hometown fans at Philadelphia's ballpark. Not surprisingly, he quickly won over the entire crowd, even while sleeping for an inning in a player's arms. Eventually, Tugger's training will round third base, and he'll be headed toward home with a veteran in need. A guaranteed home run by the Phillies, delivered by the newest and cutest member of the team. That is absolutely adorable. Charlie just said, "It sounded like I had the ball rug inside me after my stomach surgery. Didn't hurt, but sounded funny." This is adorable. To the Philadelphia Phillies for this program, and to Tugger, who's going to go on to serve a disabled vet and who in a handicap assistance capacity. Cheers. Still have beer in the can. Gotta top myself off for this last article. I hope y'all are ready for this. This is a grab the tissues kind of article. Given the nature of this one, so this one does cover some recent events, some very tragic recent events, and some work being done afterwards. So this is, it is also a Saviors of All Ages article. Yeah, that's maybe need to think about how to do warnings for when we discuss recent tragedies and the work that's being done to alleviate those afflicted. So get ready. I'll copy and paste this into the chat. Again, this is a, for us, this is a Saviors of All Ages article. Producer Donna is also warning it is an I'm not crying, you're crying article. You have been warned. Kids across Texas raise thousands for flood relief with lemonade stands. This was posted to goodgoodgood.co and was published on July 8th of 2025 by Cameron Baker. As search and rescue efforts, aid distribution, and emergency resources sweep across central Texas in the aftermath of deadly floods over the July 4th weekend, even the youngest of residents are playing a part. In the wake of the devastating loss of an estimated 27 campers and counselors at Camp Mystic, and I actually think, well, that was at Camp Mystic alone, and I know that number has gone way up. An all-girls summer camp on the banks of the Guadalupe River, young Texans are serving up support for the camp and the families most affected by the catastrophic floods. How are they doing it? Lemonade stands. Becky says, thanks for the warning. You're welcome. Mike says, Onion Ninja articles. This is definitely an Onion Ninja article. In Harris County, Texas, a local law enforcement office shared a Facebook post about an inspirational teen, Briley Livesey, whom Constable Terry Albritton stumbled upon while on patrol in the teen's neighborhood. As the post describes, the 14-year-old opened a lemonade stand to support those most impacted by the floods at Camp Mystic. Briley raised more than $600, all of which is going directly to help flood victims, the Harris County Precinct wrote in a social media post. Her compassion and drive set a powerful example for all of us, or for us all. Sorry, that's a quote. Courtney Birdsong, a realtor in Lake Jackson, Texas, posted a photo of her kids, the Birdsong babies, at their own lemonade stand over the weekend. All proceeds and donations will go to the camps affected by the Guadalupe River flooding, she wrote, adding that her son is a Camp La Junta attendee, a boys' camp near Camp Mystic. We are just heartbroken over the devastation in Hunt, Texas, she continued. Please continue to pray for Camp Mystic and all the families affected. Following in the footsteps of the Birdsongs is the family of Omari Armstrong Woodard, whose sons also felt empowered to set up a lemonade stand with a goal of raising $1,000. Our great state of Texas is hurting, and now is the time to step up for one another. The Woodard boys are doing their part to help families impacted by the recent flooding at Camp Mystic, Woodard wrote in a Facebook post, crediting Birdsong for the idea. Later in the day, she updated her post to reflect that the boys were just a couple $100 shy of their goal. Let's show what community, compassion, and Texas heart really mean, she said. Then there's Shan, son of Anjali Patel, who whipped up a speedy lemonade stand with his mom for her birthday, which she said was the perfect opportunity to teach my son about giving back. His lemonade stand raised funds for the therapeutic services provided to Camp Mystic families affected by the flood. She also encouraged direct donations to a GoFundMe that would cover the therapy costs for survivors and families connected to Camp Mystic. So far, the fundraiser has already generated over $350,000 in donations. Every donation helps, Anjali concluded in her post. Thank you for your support. Perhaps the most notable of the lemonade stand efforts comes from Corrigan and Cannon Camp, a nine-year-old twins in Fort Worth, Texas, who raised more than $5,000 for Camp Mystic in the weekends of the flood. Corrigan attended Camp Mystic for 2 weeks in June, while Cannon attended Camp La Junta around the same time. When they heard about the floods, Cannon asked what the family could do to help and decided on a lemonade stand. The twins stood outside for about 6 hours over the weekend, as generous neighbors and cups of refreshing cheer poured in quickly. I feel like a lot of people care for Mystic and how damaged it is, Corrigan told NBC News. It made me feel good because we're donating money to the camp, Cannon added. Lisa Camp, the kid's mother, told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that she was in communication with camp leadership to figure out the best place to donate the money to have the greatest impact. The community really showed up, Lisa said. It was just incredible. Everybody was so friendly and wanted to talk and to share how they were affected and just kind of grieve together, even though we're strangers. To all of the young heroes across Texas and the country, anybody involved with raising funds for Camp Mystic survivors, for helping with everybody affected by the terrible flooding that hit Hunt, Texas and other areas, to all of you saviors of all ages, cheers. And I'm not crying. You're crying. Actually, I did tear up a little bit during that. That is just an amazing outpouring of support from children. Just absolutely incredible. That's going to do it for tonight. 7 amazing articles. We thank you all again so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday. Our next episode will be on July 20th, 2025. It'll be another good news episode. We encourage participation, so by all means, you can contact us and post suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you do articles, if you send us a bunch, we prefer you spread them out across our 4 categories, which again were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes like the ones we heard tonight. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description. We're checking them constantly, so when you send stuff in, we see it. Also, Producer Donna says, if you want, share your fur kids so that we can present them on Tuesday posts on our Facebook page entitled Nick's Newsies Flora and Fauna, so we can show off your pets. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our Facebook and YouTube videos, on our TikToks, to get good news and joy out into those algorithms, so that we can continue to combat the bad news that we're bombarded with on a daily basis. Please, no SEO improvement advertisements. We're not looking for that kind of service, but we thank you all for every interaction with our content. Y'all are the driving force that continues to push Nick's News higher and continue to spread good news across the algorithms. So thank you all so much for interacting with our content across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube. I can't thank you all enough. Thank you all. Have a great night. I love you all, and I will play us out.